A major car accident nearly cost me my life. There weren't enough ambulances, and the medical staff performed basic measures while waiting for rescue. I used all my strength to call Eric, who was on vacation, to save me. He coldly said, "Can you stop playing these tricks to get me to see you? I'm very busy." I was taken to the emergency room and was told that there weren't enough doctors. The hospital called Eric to bring him back to participate in the rescue. He is currently performing surgery on a dog at the intern's house, using various excuses to delay returning to the hospital until tomorrow. But I have already been transferred to another city for surgery, and I have been given a second chance at life. 3 years later, I returned home to visit my father, who had suffered a brain hemorrhage, and ran into Eric at the hospital. He sneered at me in his white coat and said, "Finally willing to come back? If you want to marry me, you need to apologize to Lily first, then I will consider whether to marry you." But he doesn't know that I have long been a mother of twins, and I no longer need to ask him to marry me. When I learned that my father was hospitalized due to a cerebral hemorrhage, I hurriedly bought a plane ticket to go back home to visit him. I didn't expect to run into Eric, who was on his way to work. He was wearing a white coat, full of vigor, with a badge on his chest indicating his position as director. Seeing me, weary from travel, he stopped me and said, "Sophia, where have you been all these 2 years? Just because I didn't marry you, you decided to hide away?" I didn't expect Eric to change hospitals, still the one where my dad is hospitalized. I was in a hurry to visit my dad and didn't want to get entangled with him, so I said in a bad tone, "Get out of my way, don't block my business." He had never seen me speak to him so harshly. Eric pulled his hand out of his pocket. He grabbed my arm and said in a bad tone, "I'm trying to talk to you nicely, why are you still so disrespectful?" He was gripping my hand painfully, and I glared at him and said, "Are you crazy?" Eric looked at my red hand, froze for a few seconds, and then said, "I'm sorry, Before I finished speaking, I walked up the side stairs to the 13th floor of the hospital. Dad was able to wake up after timely rescue due to early detection, and he could move his limbs, though they were still a bit numb. The anxious heart finally relaxed, and I let out a sigh of relief. Mom was worried that Dad hadn't slept for 2 days and nights, so I told her to go back and rest while I took over the caregiving. At 7 in the evening, just as I was about to feed Dad, Eric appeared at the door with some fruit. He had already taken off his white coat and was wearing casual clothes. After putting down the fruit, his gaze fixed on my reddened hands, and he took out some red flower oil from his pocket and said, "Sophia, I'm sorry about this morning, I got a bit carried away. You should apply some ointment first. If you had told me in advance that Uncle was hospitalized, I wouldn't have treated you this way. You always keep things to yourself, it was the same 2 years ago when you left without a word." I knocked the ointment out of his hand. "Please don't shout at me. You hitting me is already an act of violence, so why bother with so many excuses? I won't accept your apology. While I haven't lost my temper yet, take your fruit and leave here." Seeing that I was being unapproachable, Eric's face turned a bit ugly as the other patients in the room looked at him with strange eyes. At that moment, his phone rang, and upon answering, his tone became gentle. "Fufu threw up again? I'll go back right away and take it to the hospital to have a look, you." He spoke hurriedly while walking out of the ward with his phone, and by the time he got further away, I could no longer hear what he was saying. Fufu is Lily's pet dog. 2 years ago, I was in a car accident. Because so many injured people were unconscious, the ambulance was only transporting those who were severely injured. I, still conscious, had to wait for the next trip, but at that moment, I felt as if my internal organs were shattered, and I had the sensation that I would faint and die at any second. The fear of death made me call Eric, who was on vacation at the time. I wanted him to come and save me. But when he received my call, he thought I was being unreasonable and deliberately mentioned a car accident to get him to see me, refusing my plea for help. Later, I found out through a post on Lily's social media account. At the time of my accident, Eric was performing a bone surgery on her pet dog, Fufu. In his eyes, I, as his girlfriend, was less important than his intern's dog. My mother and I took turns caring for my father. When I went to take over from my mother, I saw Lily in a white coat sitting by my father's bed, chatting and laughing. Noticing that my father's bag was about to run out, she volunteered, saying, "Uncle, just a moment, I'll go get some medicine to change it for you." My father and mother smiled and said, "Okay, thank you, doctor." Lily turned around and saw me standing at the door, looking unwell. She smiled and stuck out her tongue, saying, "Sister Sophia, I heard you're back, so I came to see you all." I didn't say anything, sulking as I put down the thermos. My mom said to me, "You child, the doctor is so friendly, taking time out of their busy schedule to chat with us and encouraging your dad to get out of bed more. How can you sulk at them?" I pouted, not wanting to argue with my parents, and smiled, saying, "Yes, yes, yes, what Mom said is all right. Let's not talk about that for now. You should try the chicken soup I made myself. I managed to get some free-range chicken, it's very nourishing." At that moment, Lily came in with the medicine, and just as she was about to start, I stopped her. Lily said with a sense of grievance, "What's wrong, Sister Sophia?" "I'm just changing the medicine for Uncle. If you keep holding me, the blood will flow back in a bit." I snatched the liquid from her hand and pointed at the name on it, saying, "If you can't do the nurse's job, then don't do it, okay? Just look at the name on this, is it my dad's name and bed number? You can't just change the medicine without checking." Lily looked at it, her face turned pale, and her voice choked. I didn't mean to, I just wanted to change the medicine for Uncle quickly." She was crying in her white coat, and those who didn't know would think I was bullying her. Just a moment ago, Lily's parents, who were speaking up for her, fell silent. After all, having the wrong medication is something no one would want to experience. Even the neighboring patient couldn't help but complain a bit, which made Lily burst into tears uncontrollably. Bowing to me in apology, he said, "I'm sorry, Sister Sophia. I didn't know my good intentions could almost lead to a big mistake. It's all my fault." At that moment, a furious shout came from the doorway, "What are you doing?" The next second, Eric pushed me hard again, and I slammed into the bed railing. The car accident had caused multiple fractures, and now my body was filled with steel plates. That impact hit my injured area, making me break out in a cold sweat, and stars began to dance before my eyes. Eric, holding Lily, scolded me, "Sophia, if you have any issues or grievances, you can come to me, but you absolutely cannot bully Lily. She's just a resident doctor. Can't you, as patients, show a little more understanding?" Lily, with a face full of grievance, buried herself in Eric's arms and cried, "Eric, I'm fine. Since everyone dislikes me as a doctor, I might as well resign from the director." Boohoo. Eric angrily ordered me, "Sophia, apologize to me. You made Lily cry. These two shameless people treat the workplace like a joke, and now they disregard my parents while treating me this way. Why should I apologize?" I went straight to the doctor's office to complain that Lily was not serious about her work, did not examine carefully, and cried in front of us patients. Just as the leaders from the institute came down for an inspection, they discovered my report and immediately ordered Lily to go home for reflection and to write a self-criticism, prohibiting her from coming to work during this time. Even Eric was called in for a talk by the dean. In the evening, my husband told me he brought the twins over, and I told him not to bring the kids yet, to rest well before seeing their grandparents. My husband replied, "Yes, yes, yes, I always listen to my wife, but I just happened to be passing by your hospital to buy some snacks for Benji. Can I come out and give you a hug? I've missed you after a few days." This guy doesn't even draft his lies. The hospital is far from where they live, not at all on the way. But I missed him a bit too, and while waiting for my husband downstairs, I saw him get out of the car and joyfully rushed over to crash into his arms. Smelling the fragrance of the shower gel, I felt a lot more at ease, and whispered in his ear, "Honey, I miss you too. I miss you too, my dear. You've worked hard. Bella and Benji are both asleep, I have to go back. If they don't see me, they'll probably start crying again, and the aunt can't handle it alone." The brief warmth dispersed much of my frustration for the day. I said goodbye to my husband, standing by the roadside watching his car until the taillights disappeared, then picked up the pancake he had just bought for me to eat. Suddenly, someone appeared behind me, startling me, and causing the pancake in my mouth to drop. They patted my shoulder and asked, "Who was that person just now? Why did you smile at him?" Eric questioned me with a sullen face, his tone carrying an irresistible force, and the fingers resting on my shoulder tightened continuously as he spoke. I felt pain and jabbed the bamboo skewer in my hand forcefully into his arm, cursing, "Let go, you're hurting me." After a moment of pain, Eric did not let go. Instead, he pressed closer, forcing me to the edge of the flower bed, making me sit down on the tiled railing. I wanted to stand up and leave, but Eric held me down and pressed, "You still haven't answered my question. Who was that man just now? What is your relationship with him?" I found his behavior quite baffling. He loved Lily yet was so interested in my private life. Not wanting to get entangled further, I answered honestly, "He is my husband, the one on the marriage certificate, a legal couple." "I've answered you, can you let go now?" However, my answer only made Eric's reaction more intense. He pinched my chin, forcing me to look directly into his eyes and said, "Sophia, you don't need to use such means to pressure me into marrying you. Don't think I don't know you deliberately brought your sick father to the hospital where I work, and intentionally let me see you being intimate with another man when I got off work. To be honest, it's making me a bit unsettled. If you want me to marry you, you just need to agree to one request of mine, and we can go get the marriage certificate right away. You need to apologize to Lily and withdraw your complaint against her. Do you know that because of your complaint, she might lose her job now? Going around in circles, it's still about this Lily. 2 years ago, I was indeed anxious to get married because I was already in my 30s, and if I didn't get married and have children soon, it might become difficult for me to conceive. And I really want children, I love children, but Eric has been dragging his feet, always using the excuse that his career isn't on track yet, making me wait. But I have already waited for him for 7 years, from his residency training to his job. A sneer crossed my lips as I looked Eric up and down and said, "Eric, when did I ever beg you to marry me? If you want to get married, go find your student Lily, she should be more than willing to marry you." The man couldn't believe I could say such a thing, gritting his teeth and saying, "Sophia, do you even know what you're saying?" Suddenly, a surprised female voice came from behind, "Eric, what are you two doing?" Upon hearing Lily's voice, Eric jumped away from me as if startled, even putting a meter of distance between us. Afraid of being associated with me and making Lily misunderstand, I snorted and rolled my eyes. He said softly to Lily, "It's nothing, it's just that Sophia is still entangled with me. Luckily you came. Didn't you say you wanted to try on a wedding dress? I'll take you to try on wedding dresses tomorrow." As he spoke, he deliberately glanced at my face, trying to find a hint of expression, but unfortunately, there was not a trace. As if to take revenge on me, he uploaded photos of himself accompanying Lily to try on wedding dresses to social media, and in Lily's post, Eric's figure also appeared. As I passed by the nurse's station, I heard them discussing, "Did you see? Dr. Eric accompanied Lily to try on wedding dresses. They can't really be getting married, can they? Isn't this just a matter of time? Who in the whole hospital doesn't know about their relationship? It's just that there hasn't been any news for 2 years, and I guess they think the time has come now. Whether they get married or not is irrelevant to me, it has nothing to do with me. My husband told me that Bella and Benji are coming to see Grandpa this afternoon, so I waited for them in the ward." When Bella and Benji arrived, the entire ward was filled with cheerful laughter. Seeing the two kids, my parents' furrowed brows relaxed quite a bit. In the afternoon, while I was changing Benji's diaper, a lively voice came from the doorway, "Wow, whose little child is this? So cute and chubby." Hearing Lily's voice, I impatiently turned my head, my gaze landing on Eric's gloomy face. Ignoring him, I walked over and took the child from Lily's arms, smiling as I said, "This is my child, it's not convenient for you to hold the baby in that white coat." I smiled at Lily, surprised that just a few hours later, she was back at work. It seems this background is quite solid. In a corner where no one was paying attention, when Eric heard me say the child was mine, he staggered slightly, almost falling over. Unwilling to give up, he said, "Where did you adopt these twins from? I always knew you liked kids, but I didn't expect you to adopt two at once." As soon as he said that, the people around me looked at him with strange expressions. In the end, it was my mother who answered for me, her tone a bit angrily, "How can you say that about my grandchildren? These two children are both born from my daughter after 10 months of pregnancy and a cesarean section. who would just say the children aren't theirs right off the bat. My fellow patient really likes my two children. We were just discussing the process of my cesarean section for these two kids. When we talked about scars, I also told my fellow patient what ointment to use for scar removal, because she is also a cesarean mom. So when she heard Eric say that, she got a bit angry and spoke up for me. You two come here every time with nothing good to say. You don't look like you're responsible for our ward. Why do you come here every day to bully this little girl? Are you that idle at work? Lily, feeling called out, started to act innocent again. Brother Zhiqing, I just wanted to come over and apologize. You see, What no one expected was that Eric shouted at me, Sophia, when did I allow you to give birth to twins? Why did you have my children without letting me know? Now the child is in front of me, yet you won't let me acknowledge her. On what grounds? You made the child leave her father for 2 years, deprived of paternal love. Isn't this an unfortunate childhood for her? Is this how a mother should act? I looked at Eric in some shock, really wanting to know what was going through his mind. I smiled and said, Eric, if I remember correctly, you never touched me in the 6 months before my car accident. Where did your child come from? Eric was stunned and asked, car accident? What car accident? I said coldly, on the day you were performing the bone surgery on Lily's pet dog, I was involved in a serious car accident and nearly lost my life. When my dad heard what I said, he sat up excitedly and asked, Daughter, is that heartless ex-boyfriend of yours the same man? At that time Eric and I were together, but we hadn't reached the point of confirming our engagement, and I hadn't told my parents who he was. They only knew I had a boyfriend. Now that they know it's Eric in front of them, my usually cheerful parents' faces all fell. My mom even kicked the two of them out of the hospital room. We don't welcome you too. You are not the doctors responsible for my husband. We need to rest, so please don't disturb us. That day, we went through the discharge procedures. Eric and Lily were really uncomfortable staying there. Later, I heard from other patients that after we were discharged, Eric came back. After learning we had left, he caused a huge scene in the ward, grabbing the nurses and asking why they had discharged us. He stood in the hallway, repeatedly calling me despite everyone's gaze, but after I came out, I changed my phone number. My husband is also a surgeon, but his medical ethics and skills are many times higher than Eric's. It was my husband who saved my life. Many hospitals knew that my husband had returned here, and as soon as he landed, he was invited to discuss techniques with them. In the first few days after arriving, my husband was reluctant to take care of the children, but as time went on, he had to step in. This meant that the children and I had to stay a few more days. Dad is doing well now, he can walk normally, and Mom takes him out for a stroll every day. Letting Dad watch the little kids helps him temporarily forget about his illness, and it has improved his mood quite a bit. So, I handed the child over to my parents for help, while Auntie assisted nearby. Today is the day my husband is giving a speech at the hospital, and I decided to go and watch as an audience member. Seeing him shine on stage filled me with pride, and he even threw me a flirtatious glance while he was taking a breath to speak. This made everyone around me smile and look at me, which made me feel a bit shy. But deep down, I was still quite pleased. I feel a strong sense of security with my husband, unlike when I was with Eric. Every time he worked late and I wanted to visit him, he wouldn't allow me to show up at his workplace. But Lily was different. At that time, among the interns, Lily was the most special one. He never let Lily do the heavy or tiring work, but assigned it to the other interns, while giving all the easy tasks to Lily. Several times I caught them, and I made a scene a few times, but Eric scolded me several times. He said I was jealous and embarrassing, but my husband was different. He would introduce me to everyone around us. Whether alone or out in public, he would praise me as an amazing mother and wife. He gave me a sense of affirmation, making me feel that I had meaning. Just as I was seriously listening to my husband's lecture, hurried footsteps came from the doorway. A doctor in a white coat said to the dean in front of me, "Not good, Dean, there is a patient in the emergency room with a severe open wound. We can't find the source of the bleeding, and the blood bank's supply is running low. Dr. Eric can't handle it. If we delay any longer, we might not make it. The main issue is that this patient's identity is special. They are someone important, and they must survive." The director quickly made a decision. interrupting her husband's speech to ask him to help save the patient. My husband and I went over and saw that all the department heads were there, initiating the rescue mode. When Eric was pushed out, his surgical gown was soaked in blood. When he saw my husband and me standing in front of him, he suddenly shouted at the director, "I already said the rescue wouldn't work. How can someone from another hospital save a patient who is about to die?" Lily, in a rush and with tears in her eyes, said, "Yes, Director, Eric is one of the top surgeons in the department and even the whole city, with first-class surgical skills. No one can do it better than him. We don't even know this person's name, how can we suddenly let him take the lead? If something goes wrong, who will take responsibility?" The director glared, saying, "When did it become your place as a resident trainee to question my decisions?" Frightened, Lily dared not speak again. Her husband understood where Eric's hostility towards him stemmed from, but he also harbored resentment towards Eric, and he brushed past Lily's inquiries. In the face of life, everything else is trivial. He quickly put on his surgical gown without saying much. He simply threw a remark at Eric, "Stop thinking so highly of yourself every day. There are always people better than you out there, on the other side of the mountain, there are many who surpass you. Just because you can't do something doesn't mean others can't." After saying that, I watched my husband enter the operating room, and everyone followed him in, including Eric. 5 hours later, I finally waited for them to come out of surgery last night. I spotted my husband at a glance, and as I walked over, he leaned against my shoulder and tiredly said, "Nothing beats my wife's embrace, just leaning on it gives me energy, no matter how exhausted I am." I gently patted his shoulder, and the director walked over with a smile, saying, "Fortunately, Dr. Charles was here today, otherwise, this surgery would have been difficult. It's truly a miracle that you were able to find such a hard-to-locate bleeding point. Young and accomplished, young and accomplished." I noticed Eric standing not far away with a dark expression, radiating a sense of defeat, but I could see the unwillingness in his eyes. Eric came out of school for an internship, and his mentor discovered that his hands were very steady, making him a skilled surgeon. Even his teacher praised him for his potential after the surgeries he performed back then. This made him feel like he held a unique and irreplaceable position. After working in the hospital for several years, he successfully performed countless difficult surgeries. That's why the hospital called him back to perform surgeries, he had the courage to hesitate. But now it seems that 3 years have passed, and his skills are still at the level they were 3 years ago, with no progress. In today's rapidly developing society, various high technologies have changed people's primitive skills, using technology to help us find the causes of illnesses more quickly. This time, the husband was able to quickly locate the bleeding point, not only due to his ability but also because of his self-developed reflection tracking system, which can quickly find the dynamic origin. Eric's arrogance when he issued a death sentence to the patient made many of his peers begin to look down on him. After this incident, people started to gossip privately. "Indeed, he is young and impetuous, the patient still had a breath left, yet he said the other party couldn't be saved. If his skills are lacking, he shouldn't be so arrogant." Anyway, I found him unpleasant for a long time. It's not like he's the only one with steady hands and good skills, there are countless people who are much better than him. I think this time Eric's myth is about to come to an end. As a doctor, the most important thing is that the patient is still alive, and we must do our utmost. How can he not even understand this principle? I heard that Dr. Charles's wife is his ex-girlfriend. 3 years ago, she had a car accident and sought help from Dr. Eric, but Dr. Eric would rather perform surgery on that and turn Lily's pet dog than save his girlfriend. This person has never had good character from the start. Nowadays, Eric and Lily's reputation in the hospital has started to sour. And Lily received a notice of failure from her mentor in her training book, forcing her to leave the department. Over the years, Lily relied on her reputation as Eric's rumored girlfriend, slacking off at work in every department, doing nothing and just passing time until quitting time. After the training period ended, she still received the title of outstanding employee, which made many of her fellow trainees furious, but they dared not voice their anger. This time, when Eric got into trouble, they all submitted reports, and the supervising mentor quickly changed their tune, becoming fair and just. My husband researched this tracking system because years ago, when I had a car accident and lost a lot of blood, he almost couldn't find me. In the end, he persisted and found me, and later when I had a cesarean section with twins, I bled heavily again. Since then, my husband began researching technology, a method that could locate the bleeding point. During this time, the heads of surgery at various hospitals were consulting my husband about this technology, hoping to introduce it into their own operating rooms. Bored, I took the twins out for a stroll and ran into Eric. I frowned and pushed the stroller around him, but he grabbed the frame. I said, "What do you want? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't get physical." Eric said hoarsely, "Sophia, you win. I agree to marry you. We can go get the marriage certificate today. You've achieved your goal, you've made me compromise." I shook off his hand and cursed, "Are you crazy? I have a husband and a child. When did I say I wanted to marry you? Have you lost your mind?" To my surprise, Eric got angry, pushed the stroller aside, and pressed down on my shoulder, saying, "Why not get married? Didn't you kneel down and beg me to marry you back then? I made you wait, why didn't you wait for me? Now that the time has come, how can you stand next to another man, bringing a child to provoke me and ruin my career? Now that I've agreed to marry you, you actually refuse me?" The two children were so scared that they kept crying. In a moment of desperation, I twisted Eric's ear with my hand, causing him pain. Then I punched him on the bridge of his nose and coldly said, "If you act crazy again, I'll send you to a mental hospital." Ignoring the blood streaming from his nose, he knelt in front of me, crying, and pleaded, "Sophia, I really love you. Please don't reject me, okay? Do you know how much it hurts me to see you hugging another man? Do you know how jealous I am when I see you smiling at those two kids? Why are you punishing me? I know it was my fault when I hung up on you back then. It was my mistake, and it was that Lily who seduced me. I will cut ties with her and be with you. Can you also cut ties with unrelated people? Let's start over." He took out the diamond ring from his pocket and said, "Sophia, this ring has our names engraved in English. Today, I am proposing to you, and you cannot refuse. I've already ordered the wedding dress, and we can go try it on right away. I've also booked the wedding venue, and it's ready to use at any time." I walked around him, holding two children to soothe their emotions. Eric suddenly became enraged, shouting madly, "Why are you ignoring me? I asked you to marry me, didn't you hear me?" I wanted to take the children and leave, but Eric roughly snatched them from my hands, and I was worried they would fall. Reluctantly, I let go and softened my voice, saying, "Eric, please don't get worked up. I'll agree to whatever you want, just don't hurt the children." My heart was in my throat, fearing what Eric's next move might be and whether it would harm the children. I was so anxious that tears streamed down my face. The man held the child and laughed foolishly, saying, "Hee hee. What are the conditions? Then right now, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate." I agreed without hesitation, okay, I'll go with you, just don't hurt the child." The two children were crying louder and louder. I wanted to take them away, but Eric wouldn't let me, and we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The staff member said to Eric, "Sir, I'm sorry, this lady is married, she can only come with her husband to get a divorce before you can obtain the certificate." At that moment, Eric still couldn't believe I was married, but the truth was right in front of him. Pain flashed across his face as he questioned me, "Sophia, you really got married, you're not lying to me?" I dared not speak carelessly, as the child was still in his hands. I comforted Eric's emotions, and the staff also stepped in to help speak. Fortunately, just before, I had the taxi driver call the police for me while Eric was still going crazy. The police quickly subdued Eric, snatched the child from his hands, and handed him back to me. When I touched the child, my heart nearly shattered. Both of them had bruises from being choked, and I told the police, "This person kidnapped my child, causing me and my child mental distress. I do not accept mediation." Eric was detained for 10 days, and my husband, after learning about my recent troubles, publicly stated that if Eric was not severely punished, he would not continue to cooperate with the hospital. After Eric was released, he was dismissed from the hospital, and due to his previous misconduct being exposed, his medical license was revoked. My husband and I took our parents and left our hometown to settle and work in another province. Later, I heard that Lily was arrested. She went to a shady hospital to work as a plastic surgeon. Due to improper procedures, a patient died on the operating table during surgery. She did not immediately send the patient for rescue but instead abandoned the scalpel and fled the operating room. By the time the family found the patient, there was no breath left. The family sought justice for the deceased patient by suing the plastic surgery hospital and reporting Lily to the police. In the end, Lily was found at Eric's doorstep. At that moment, she was pleading with Eric to save her, while Eric secretly called the police for help. He said, "It's all because of you that Sophia will be gone from me forever, you deserve to die." Lily was furious. "Do you think you are so deep in your feelings? Don't think I don't know you want to have it both ways, enjoying my services while still holding on to your beloved. You pushed her away yourself, it has nothing to do with me." Hearing the police siren, Lily knew it was Eric who had called the police. Without a second thought, she grabbed a stone from the doorway and, while Eric was distracted, smashed it hard several times against his groin. Eric fell to the ground in pain, the sound like breaking eggs. Although he was quickly taken to the hospital by the police, unfortunately, the erectile tissue was damaged and could no longer be used. Meanwhile, Lily was sentenced to life in prison. After my father went for a follow-up check, there was no risk of recurrence. Now he has started to quit smoking and drinking, turning down all social drinking events. He began a leisurely life of taking care of the kids and grocery shopping, and my heart finally relaxed. And our new life has just begun.